Good morning, everyone, and welcome back on this equally fine Wednesday morning to the third of our four-part series of the Lego Zelda Advent Calendar. This is an extension to my Lego Legend of Zelda custom set showcase series here on the channel, and today we're going to be looking at days 13 to 18 of the Advent Calendar. So we're going to start off with day 13, and if I didn't mention, this is an advent calendar in the style of the Lego normal advent calendars, which kind of have a lot of mini builds, a couple of Christmasified figures, and a lot of fun small bits. And for me, this is a real big opportunity to include things that I otherwise wouldn't get to include in my normal custom set showcase. So we're going to get right into it, and here is a really bad example, because day 13 is the first of a 2-day build. This is something that usually occurs like maybe once a year in one of the advent calendars. My example would be there's usually like a train or something in the city one that has the train engine on one day and the carriage on the next. But this one looks fairly boring, and I don't know if you can guess what it is, but let's take a quick look at day 14 before I can explain. Because day 13 is the core of Master Cycle 0 in microscale from Breath of the Wild. And here you can see the completed model with day 14 added to the top. And you've got wheels and a little core here, as well as that kind of horse-like shaping and the golden cone at the top to represent that big blade that comes out of the top. And for anyone that doesn't know, this is Link's bike from Breath of the Wild. Bit of a strange inclusion in the Zelda series if you ask me, but definitely worthy of a spot in the advent calendar, because I'm not going to get to make a mold for the Master Cycle 0 until at least Wave 2 and possibly longer. So I thought, what better way to hold people over than scale down a vehicle common to the series. Obviously, it's only been in one entry, but you'll see this a lot with the Star Wars Advent calendars, where they make microscale Millennium Falcons. So I thought, why not put one of Zelda's vehicles in here? And I think it worked out pretty well. And I think it looks pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, you can't get anything perfect at this scale, but I think it's an alright representation. Moving on to our A15. We have a little log setup with Navi. And Navi's not one I've actually been able to include in a set yet, so I definitely wanted to include her here to make sure she was at least part of the first wave. Because if you were opening, if you bought all of the first wave sets, you'd expect quite a lot of the iconic parts from Zelda, and I think she is one of them, even if people hate her. So here she is in a transparent blue recolor of the Snitch, just like some of the other fairies I've done in this Wave 1, and just comes with a little log build with some plants around it, with those blue flowers representing Silent Princesses once again. Moving on to day 16 of 24, we are going to take a look at the third and final of the Link House builds. If you didn't see last week's Advent Calendar section, I would highly recommend watching that, as you saw two other really cool house sections in there. But this one just contains a wreath and a window, just to kind of build out that scene a bit more. You can move around in your house, kind of has a bit of playability for if you wanted it. And you can see at the bottom those clips, because it connects to the other two. And I suppose I've just defeated the point of going and watching part 2, but if you want to see that really cool Link figure, I'd still go check it out. And here we have all three of them together with the chimney, the wreath window, and the champion's portrait above the desk. Yet another Silent Princess on that one. And with that series of 3 out of the way, we're moving on to day 17, which is a microscale tower from Breath of the Wild. This is something that unlocks the map in Breath of the Wild, and it's just one of those microscale things which I think really lends itself to the Advent Calendar. It just kind of fits. I can't really explain it. There's some sort of synergy between the two. But anyway, here you can see it's basically just a built stack of bricks, mostly round, but with some smart bricks to allow us to make the platforms which you climb up the side. A big plate at the top where you would stand on, and then that pointy part at the top. You can also see some of the blue Sheikah writing, which I used a stamp piece to connect that to. And our final day for today, part 3 of 4, and then next week we'll be on to part 4, we have the Majora's Mask Moon and Telescope. The telescope being loosely based off the Astral Observatory from Majora's Mask. This was probably my only inclusion now of all 6 waves of Zelda that I want to do, where I'm ever going to get to include the Majora's Mask Moon, and it's so iconic, and it would only really work at this scale with the two ball pieces that have been used as globes or as the shifter knob in the Razor Crest. And I just think it's a really cool print that I was desperate to include somewhere along the line, and it just fitted so well with a pseudo-Christmas design, and it's so iconic that I had to include it somewhere, and it just wouldn't have fitted in any of the normal sets. So here we are on day 18 with the Majora's Mask Moon and a telescope. Here are all of our builds from this week's section. You can see parts of the Master Cycle Zero was Navi, the finishing up of the Hovel Walls, the Great Plateau Tower in microscale, as well as that Majora's Mask Moon looking lovely as always, suspended in the air above that telescope. And that's going to do it for today. Don't be sure to check back next week for the final installment, including that lovely Ganondorf figure. And let me know in the comments below what your favourite day was, as well as what you think